Yo, what's cracking, guys? Faison here, and I've got some super exciting news. The long-awaited update to the Eldritch deck profile for Master Duel is here. Um, so if you notice, the setup is different. The mic is a little scuffed. I'm currently traveling for spring break, but I had to get this video out here because this past weekend, Pak, Farfa, and Luxury Gaming hosted a Master Duel tournament. It was a 3v3, so me and two teammates played against 299 other teams, so like 900 total players. At the end of day one, we were 7 and 0. At the end of Swiss 9 rounds, we were 8 and 1. We ended up third overall, and at the end of the tournament, we ended up fourth overall. So it was super super exciting to be there in Top Cut at basically, I think, one of the first Master Duel tournaments of this size. Um, I was on Eldlich as per usual when I'm trying to really grind out a tournament, and my teammates were on Adignister and Going Second Dinos. I will likely be sharing both of their deck lists here, so stay tuned for that, but let's go ahead and get into mine. So the deck list hasn't changed too much, but there's been a few notable changes, so I'll kind of go into it deeper as I start. Just immediately, we have Lava Golem. This is up from up from 2 to 3. I originally cut it back to 2 because I found that I was breaking on it at 3, but I decided I want to be able to break these larger boards. I expected to see a lot of tri-brigade and Drytron, and I felt that the Lava Golem is an easy out to those boards. We played the 2 Eldritch the Golden Lord. I firmly believe you do not need to be playing this card at 3. In round 7, I had a feature match, which I'm actually going to go over on this channel because I think it was just a super fun match, and I'll be able to explain some of my decisions because even Pack thought that I was doing some weird stuff. The chat thought I was losing the entire time, and then I pulled it out in the end with Gustav for game, and it was a beautiful experience. But yeah, the opponent was playing 3 Lord. I didn't feel like I needed it, and I was actually able to banish 2 of his lords and steal the third one, so it was pretty rough for him. Then going into our draw power, I have 2 Card of Demise and 3 Pot of Extravagance. I was originally playing this at 3 and 3, but one thing that I began to realize is that it's kind of hard to run 6 cards that are once per turn, but then also clash with each other. Because after you use Pot of Extravagance, you can't draw off of Demise, so having 6 copies means that there's an increased chance of just bricking on it. I ended up finding that between the 5 of these and the 2 Cursed Eldlands, I wasn't really ever bricking. So this just worked out better for me. We played the 2 Cursed Eldlands because we can only play 2. I think Cursed Eldland is great in this format against most decks except for basically exactly Herald of Perfection or Herald of Ultimateness. Eldland is a great going second option. 3 Torrential Tribute, and 1 Trap Trick. I actually knocked this down from the original 2 because I found that I wasn't really ever excited to see Trap Trick. There's only 3 Trap Trick targets in this deck that you actually want to go into. Like, yeah, you can Trap Trick for Scarlet Sanguine, but you really would prefer not to. And often with Cursed Eldland in the deck, you don't feel like you're ever struggling to get to your Eldritch engine too bad. So I found that Trap Trick was just better suited being more floodgates and more blowout cards. But yeah, we played the 3 Scarlet Sanguine, pretty standard, the 2 Dogmatica Punishment, and the 3 Ice Dragon's Prison. Again, I really prefer Ice Dragon's Prison at 3 rather than Punishment at 3, and I don't think you need to be playing both of them at 3, just because Ice Dragon's Prison seems to have better coverage. It deals with the mirror way better. It deals with Tri-Brigade better, because if you pop a Tri-Brigade kit or Nerval with your punishment, then they can continue extending because it's sent to grave. But if you banish it, then oftentimes it'll end their turn. So IDP is just way better in most situations. We were playing the 2 Judgment, 2 Strike. Originally, I was playing 3 Judgment, 1 Strike, and the logic I had at the time was that between 3 Judgment and 1 Imperial Order, you had 4 forms of spell disruption, and between the 1 strike and 3 skill drain, you had 4 forms of monster effect negation. But upon further testing, what I began to think about more was just the likelihood of seeing important spells that you need to deal with is a lot lower than seeing monsters that you need to deal with. On ladder, you might see people be playing like Harpy's Feather Duster and Lightning Storm in main, but in a competitive setting, I just didn't expect to see that, and I think I was right because I never really did see a lot of Lightning Storm or Harpy's Feather Duster, because if you're building your deck to beat ELDLICH like that, you're gonna lose hard to other decks. So people just can't afford to be playing those cards in main in a competitive setting when you're playing against competent players. But yeah, so we upped it to 5 forms of monster effect negation and just the 3 spell negation. Then we have the Vanity's Emptiness. Every time I drew this card, I won. This card is so broken. There can be only one. I was playing this at 3 originally, but I decided to knock it down to 2 just because um, it was kind of it just felt like overkill to have that many floodgates, and I preferred to have better coverage with like different kinds of cards, so more like spot removal and stuff like that, because I find that in Master Duel the name of the game is just coverage. You want to be able to accomplish a lot of things since siding doesn't exist in this game and everything is a best of one. You just want to make sure that you, no matter what matchup you're against, you have cards that are alive for that matchup. So I find that in Master Duel more than the TCG, I'm more sympathetic to running cards at 2s, as you've noticed, because I would rather have a bunch of options at 2 rather than being really good at doing one thing. But yeah, going on, we have the 2 Hawk Arrow, 3 Conquistador. This is still standard. I think some of the bigger changes are going to be in that extra deck. We upped Elder Entity Entis to 2. I decided the Mechaba and the Cyber Dragon Nova were definitely getting cut. No one is playing Invoked. No one is using Dogmatica Maximus. The card was just never coming up. I still have yet to have Maximus be resolved against me in this game ever. So I don't see the point of holding counters for a deck that no one's playing. Upping Entis to 2 was great because there was occasions where I was using Pot of Extravagance and accidentally banishing the Entis and not being able to use it with punishment. But now that I've played 2 of them, that has not yet happened. I think just being able to make it so that you have double the chances of one remaining is great. We played the Wind Pegasus Adagnister. This is still my favorite card to send off Dogmatica Punishment in the early game, because when you hit late game, even good players often forget that Adagnister is in grave, and so you can banish a card if they extend too far and destroy something on your board. Cyframe Lord Omega. This didn't come up in this tournament, but it comes up on ladder all the time. You can use its graveyard effect to return something from grave back to the deck, and that's fantastic because it lets you stop your opponent from cycling useful cards that are in their grave. The Pleiades, great for pushing for advantage in simplified game states, especially if they're like setting 1 and passing. You can Pleiades and end phase and just bounce the card they set. We played the 1 Gustav. This card came in so clutch. It won me my feature match. It was great. Definitely expect to see that soon. We played the 1 Zeus. It didn't come up in this tourney, but this card is fantastic. It comes up all the time. Link Spider, Imduk, standard. Cerberus, Phoenix, just spot removal. We played the lineup, but we have cut the Win. Win was played during the tournament, but it never came up. I expect Win to be better once Baron de Fleur is released, because once you clear the Baron, you can summon it back with your Win. So that's good, but for now, I've decided to replace Win with Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. I was thinking of playing this during the tournament, but I didn't have the ultra rare dust for it at the time, so I've built it since then. And then we have the Unicorn, which is used to just remove stuff off field, but primarily to get into access code at 53, because if you go into from Unicorn into access code, you have a 5300 access code, and then you bring back Lord from the grave, giving you 35 on board, which gives you an OTK, which is great. But yeah, overall, like I said, I think the tournament went super well. Expect to see deck profiles for Adagnister with my friend Dusk, and going second dinos with my friend Dom. I think both of them played fantastically, and I'm excited to see if there's more 3v3 tourneys coming up. Expect to see me there, and hopefully in Top Cut. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.